Welcome to today's first ever Vault Ask Us Anything webinar. Before we dive in, I do want to point out there is a questions chat box that, if you will, please make sure that it's working. So if you'll just pop in an answer to the question, what is your favorite TV show currently? That way we can just make sure that we can see your questions and that it is working throughout the webinar. In today's webinar, I'd like to introduce the presenters, myself, Carrie Freiler. I'm a professional services specialist, and my co-host today is Hannah Gunderson. She's going to be looking out for any questions that you all put in the chat box throughout today, and then when we get ready to answer those, she will read those aloud and we'll get those answered. I am going to pass it to Hannah just to give you a quick blurb about who Omegafy is.
Hi, everyone. I do see those questions coming in the question chat, so that's looking good. I see somebody said that they're watching Survivor, and I'm currently on a Survivor kick as well, so 10 out of 10 suggestion on that one. But just for a little bit more about Omegafy, for more than 30 years, Omegafy has provided technology solutions to help our customers manage their finances, streamline their operations, recruit new members, and communicate with their members. Whether it's working with 57 different headquarters or local chapters, house corporations, ISCs, and Panhellenic councils, as well as alumni associations across more than 650 campuses, we remain the industry leader when it comes to technology in the fraternity and sorority community. Based out of Columbus, Georgia, we have securely processed more than $1.1 million per day for our clients and have securely processed more than $4 billion since 1992. We're deeply committed to serving, promoting, and advancing the fraternity and sorority experience. We aim to make raving fans with every individual we work with by reaching, innovating, and acting with agility. We also challenge ourselves to dream big every day and to help our, others achieve their own dreams as well. To say we're passionate about what we do is definitely an understatement, and it's this passion that has encouraged our clients to trust us to do the heavy lifting so they can focus on their mission and having some fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Hannah. With this being a non-traditional webinar and you all are leading, we are going to start off with the agenda. We have done the intro, and now we'll move into the pre-submitted questions, which I will read the question and then the answer. And then we'll move into some live questions where if y'all will just put your question in that chat box. And if you'd like to be unmuted, you could ask for that as well, and we'll unmute you and we can answer questions live. And then at the end of the slideshow, I will have up a screen that shows you how to get in contact with us. I do want to note before we dive into the pre-submitted questions, if they are not answered, it is due to we just need some more information, or it's specific to your chapter international organization, and we're going to follow up with you after the webinar via email. So just keep in mind, if you know you submitted one but it was not answered, that is probably the reason it was just too focused on your chapter and we want to reach out to you personally. All right, so I'm going to get started on reading these questions. So the first one, we have Abigail with Oklahoma State University. How do you figure out if you've overcharged a member? We recommend pulling the transaction history for that member and the billing overview, which is located in the billing menu of Vault, to see exactly what your chapter billed and what's supposed to be billed, and then comparing that to the member's transaction history of what they were billed. The second question, how do you know for sure if a payment is in the process of going through and the member's current balance is incorrect? To know if a payment is being made and if it was successful, you can actually see a pending payment on their billing detail transactions page. It'll be like in a green, it'll be pending. That's one way you can know for sure. If you don't see that, I do recommend reaching out to Omegafy support. That way they can pull it up and see if it processed fully or not. But one way to see that is there will be a pending transaction on the member's detail transaction page. All right, this question is from Kaylin from Burnell University. How do you allow for people to have more permissions? I currently can't move money to a card. Your current admin with full access, they can add you with updated access as an admin, so you'll be able to have the permissions that best fit your office or position.
Hey, Carrie, they were asking, we had one question that asked if you could show them in Vault what you're talking about, maybe where they could see that as well.
Yes, so the transaction history for the member, you'll simply pull up a member's account, and this is a test account that I'm showing you, so it might not look super accurate. Some things may look skewed. So once you get into their billing detail, you can go to the transaction history and you can pull the date range that you're looking at, so you'll see exactly what they were billed and or credited or made payments. And then I would just compare that to what you've billed, billing overview, which is going to give you a layout of your billing cycles and then the charges for each billing group. So you would just find the billing group that that person is in and compare what they should have been billed or have been billed, and etc. I think would be the easiest. This is also where you can see on your billing roster, the transaction page. If there's a pending payment, it will be listed here. It'll be pending. And the question about how to allow people to have more permissions, they can't currently move money to the chapter card or bill members. Current admin with full managed access will be the one that can update that, and that is going to be in the gear icon and Vault users. So if you don't have access to do this, I would recommend reaching out to the officer that you know does have that to get them to update your access as applicable to your role. Next question, how do you set up a summer payment plan? So with that, Vault does not have like a specific payment plan report. Payment plans are typically set between the chapter and the member specifically. However, some options that I can recommend you do in Vault is to have installment plans created for your billing groups. So if you have a billing group that is, in-house, in full, so you bill the full term amount, I would also have an associated billing group that is an installment plan where you break up that total amount over the cycles of the term. You can also, if your chapter established late fees in Vault, you can opt to hold them for members who need payment plans as well. The next question is from, let's see, Jack at Michigan State. What is the best way to get physical cash into a MegaFi account if there is in fact a way to do so? So we do not encourage you to mail physical cash by any means. That takes the risk of it being stolen. So we do ask that you take it to your local bank and turn it into a money order or a cashier's check, and then you can mail it to us for deposit. So definitely don't send cash. We don't want that to get lost and it's not traceable. All right, so this question is from Aiden at Florida State University. Are there any plans to add SMS text as a mass communication feature similar to emails? Not sure. I'm personally not sure if this is something on the roadmap, but any product enhancements are in our product release notes located in our blog, which does come out via email every few months. And you can always email us at the operationsupport@omegafi.com, and we will share your suggestions with our product team. Next question, is there any problem with using a mix of local and OmegaFi billing until we have enough money in reserve to fully switch? We really encourage chapters to pay and bill fully via Omega Phi. You are paying for the software, so you should utilize it to its fullest and let us and the software do the work for you. Next question is from Allison at Hanover College. What is an easier way to keep track of members with late fees off, and when will those turn back on? So Vault does have a late fee management. So if you have, you do turn off late fees specific to the member, and then you can use this late fee management report here to pull who has late fees turned off. So if there were anybody in this test account that had them turned off, they would list here. Within the member billing detail where you turn that off, there is a button that will allow you to put an end date to the late fee hold. So it's actually under the member details. Late fees on or off, and then the reason, and then you can give it an expiration date. So if you give it that expiration date, whatever that date range may be, once that date has come up, the system will automatically turn the late fees back on for that member. Next question comes from a Holly at UTK. What are the most important screens for chapter officers to review on a regular basis? The top three that I recommend are payments received report, which is here under the billing menu. And this is a date, you can put in a date range, you can export it, and it's going to give you a breakdown of payments received in detail, how they paid, what amount, and then it'll give you a summary. That way you can keep track of who made a payment, how much they made, and when. The next one is going to be your billing activity summary. This is kind of an all-inclusive, so you can, it is a date range report as well. You will hit submit, and this has got a couple of different sections, which is really nice. Member balances, transaction summary. It gives you kind of a total overview of any type of register in regards to members' accounts, collections activities, and your register summaries. So this is a great report that gives you a lot of information on the financial status of your account. I also recommend the income statement, and that's under the accounting tab. This is pulled, you can kind of customize it, but it'll pre-fill, which is the most utilized version is the budget versus actual, and it's going to be your current fiscal year. So you just hit submit, and it's going to give you a breakdown of your income budget versus actual for income and expenses. Do keep in mind the income statement, this report works best if you utilize it to the fullest and you have like a budget entered. If you don't have a budget entered, it's not really going to be super accurate because you won't be able to see that percentage of budget versus actual, but those are the three main reports. Next question, how do we get directors a title in Vault so that the action item goes away? I believe you're asking like officer titles. So if you've got somebody listed with Vault Access and they don't have a title, all you'll have to do is go to chapter and then go to officers, and you're going to want to edit the officers. So you'll want to give everybody that has access to Vault an officer title, and then a from and a to date, and you'll update that. How do we get archived members to disappear from the aging detail? This one I was a little confused because I want to say maybe you were talking about inactive members. Archived members shouldn't show on any reports. Once they're archived, they're completely removed from your roster. So if you're referring to inactive members, if they have a zero balance and they have a member status of alumnus or disassociated, I recommend archiving them and getting them off your viewable roster, and that'll clean up some of that aging detail report and other reports located in Vault, so you don't have too much to look at. You can get those off your roster. And to archive members, you'll simply go to the chapter menu, archive members, and then it'll, if they're eligible, which these people here in the test environment are not, which is nice because it'll show you that their balance is not zero, their member status does not correlate to what can be used to archive. So you'd have to go and make some updates, but if they did meet all the criteria, they would be here to select, and you would just archive the members, and that removes them completely. Next few questions come from Mark at University of Kansas. Seems like the three questions are kind of similar. So I'll just read the first one. How often are tool enhancements made? Who has input on tool enhancement prioritization? And how are these changes communicated? I mentioned this just a moment ago. Any product enhancements are always in our product release notes located in our blog, which does come out in emails. You can always email us again at the operationsupport@omegafy.com, and we will share it with our product team. There is not a formal way to track a formal request, and we are not committing that any formal request will be fulfilled, but we do ask that you submit anything that you see so we can pass that along to our product team. Kendall with the University of North Dakota. How to upload a budget in Omegafy. So the budget tool is under the accounting menu, and you'll just simply go to budgets, and you will select add a chapter budget, and you'll just walk through the steps. There's a few different ones. You'll add your expensive. If you want to create budget groups, you can. It's not required. But you'll just submit it this way, income, expense, and then review and approve. All right, Brianna of the University of Toledo. By using Vault, how can we tell when dues need to be paid? I'm thinking the way that you're asking this is, how do you know when dues, when the due date? You can pull the billing overview, which is here. This will show you exactly what was established. So it'll give you the statement date, meaning when your charges are going to post to members' accounts, and the statement will actually mail to your members due date and then a late after date. Your members can also see this in their My Omegafy account under their transaction. It'll give at the bottom. They'll be able to see these dates as well. So if they ever have questions, this is visible for them too, but just through their way of logging in. How can Vault inform you of 30, 60, 90? Good question. So Vault is actually not set to an exact 30, 60, 90 days. It is based off of when your dates for the billing cycles are set for billing. So depending on when those dates are, if you set it exactly for 30 days from when they're billed to when they're due, then you will get a better accurate 30, 60, 90. But then again, if you don't set your dates that way, it's not going to be an exact. But the aging detail report is set up to show you who is current, past due, and etc. But it is all depending on those dates established with your billing cycles. And the aging report is in the billing menu here. So you can see what's current. There's the summary, and then it breaks it down per member. All right, our next question comes from Aline with Illinois State. How can we void checks? Voiding checks, if you're utilizing our bill pay, you actually just send your Omegafy support client operations specialist an email asking to void the check. We just ask that you provide the information and we can get that check voided for you. Next question, is there a more friendlier way to break down the budget categories? If you are referring to the income account categories, so those when you're setting up your billing, if you're billing dues, you code it to chapter dues, set income account, or also known as charted accounts. Those are standard and are not editable. Also, depending on your chapter and national organization, if they have a partnership with us at Omegafy, it's most likely that those categories are also preset directly from headquarters. So those are pretty much standard. All right, Kathy with Looks like Beta Mu Chi. What is the best way to change a member from single pay to installment pay? This is also a great question. The first thing you're going to want to do is update their billing group to the installment billing group. Just note that when you do change a member from a billing group to an installment billing group, charges are not updated retroactively, so you will want to adjust the account balance. And you can do that by adding transactions in mass under the billing menu right here. So you can add all of her charges. You can add the charges, or if you need to credit, you can add the credit to remove them to get her balance, their balance correct. All right, how do you get the members who are in gray in the aging detail section to go away? I think this may have been a similar question. Anybody that is inactive that you no longer want to see on your roster, I recommend making sure that their member status, their billing or their balance is 0 and that billing status is inactive, and go ahead and archive them, get them moved out. If you accidentally archive somebody, didn't mean to, you can always reach out to your OmegaFi support and somebody can help you unarchive them. So not to worry, if you archive somebody, they're not completely gone. A member of our team can unarchive them. All right, we'll move on to a few more. Aubrey with Washington State University. Can the housing agreement deadline be changed if a few members miss the deadline to sign it? So this is in regards to our vault contract management. So if you are utilizing that, yes, you can unpublish a contract, edit the signature date, and republish it. It won't affect people who have already signed. The same question about the financial agreement deadline. So if you're utilizing that, there's not a way for me to show that to you guys right now on Vault. So if you are utilizing it, you're probably familiar with what I'm talking about. You can unpublish the contract, edit the signature date, republish it for those who missed that deadline. All right, Ivy with Iowa State University. Can you add and change account names for the budget? Seems to be similar to the one we had a moment ago. So those, again, those income categories are standard and not editable. So depending on that, your national organization, again, that's something that is just, I guess it is what it is, sorry. I couldn't think of a better way to say it. They're not editable. So if you are concerned with how to budget it, I definitely recommend reaching out to another auditor or a finance advisor if you have access to one, so they can help kind of talk about, if you're unsure of what to budget something to, they can help find the best one for you. All right, Connor with Indiana University. This is collections related. What percentage of the factored amount is remitted back to the chapter? And there was a second one that kind of relates to that. What is the collection agency's factoring fee? So if you turn a member over to collections, the collection agency gets 33% of all payments received and the chapter gets the remaining. All right, and the actual last pre-submitted question that I'm going to answer right now, looks like it's a Carter with Indiana University. Do you offer YouTube-based tutorials? Why, yes, we do. We have the Get Help menu in Vault right here. This webinar today will actually be turned into a recording that you will get via email for registering, and it will be posted on our YouTube, which you can also get through the Get Help Center. This is our knowledge base, so it's got all of these different categories here, or if you are searching something specific, you can type it in the search bar here, and it will take you to whatever you're looking for. If you start typing in something and you're not finding an article or anything like that, please send us an email at the operations support to let us know that you think this might be something good, because we're always adding new articles all the time, and videos. So we do offer the YouTube based on our YouTube channel. And then you can find them here in the Get Help as well. When you click on a video, it'll take you to the YouTube channel. So yes, we do have that. All right, so we are going to move into the portion of the live questions. So these are the questions that y'all have been submitting in that question box chat. I'm going to pass it over to Hannah to read those, and we will get them answered.
Thank you, Carrie. Okay, so I'm going to start going through these ones that you've submitted in the chat. Also, as promised in the email that we sent you guys promoting this, if it's something where you want to be able to unmute, I know sometimes, at least for me, I can be a little wordy and I don't know how to exactly type out what my question is. So if you feel like it would be easier to just unmute and speak when you submit a question in the chat, just kind of summarize your question and then just add a note that you would like to unmute and talk about it, and I can go ahead and unmute you. But for the ones that we already have in here, Carrie, one we have was kind of going back to when you were talking about late fees. They want to know if there's a way to retroactively remove late fees. So let's say they went in, they marked that member's late fees as off. Is there a way that they can remove the late fees from their account that have already started building up?
Yes, you can credit the late fees on a member's account. So you'll just use the add transactions in mass. Select the person you're wanting to remove the late fee for. It will be a credit because you're crediting them. You're reducing their balance. It could be late fee credit. You'll code it to late fees and then the amount. So if they've got a total of 30 late fees, you can credit back $30 worth of late fees to their account.
Thank you for that one, Carrie. And then we have another question. They're asking how they can go ahead and submit a check and bill pay that they would need to be sent out.
Submitting a check and bill pay. Yes. To do that, first of all, the vendor would have to be entered. So you'd make sure you want to have a vendor profile for who you are going to pay. And then you can simply go to vendors. Oh, good, we have some test vendors that I can show you. And you'll click on who the vendor is, and you'll simply add bill. And then you'll just enter the information, bill amount, 100, due date. If you need it to go out right away, I've always just recommended go ahead and just put in the date, the due date, and the pay on date the same day that you enter. Select the bill pay fund that you're utilizing. If your chapter has multiple, it'll be options here. Authorized payment, yes. And if you want us to process that for you, and then you can code it to an expense account and then hit submit. And it will, depending on the time of day, so if you're doing it at 4 p.m., it will go out the next day. But if you get it in, I believe before 2 p.m. the same day, it should print and process the same day. Yeah, there it is. We process at 2 p.m.
Perfect. Okay, moving down, we have a question asking how they can create billing groups. So they want to add one in addition to the ones they currently have.
Billing groups, yes. So if I'm pretty sure, a lot of this also depends on your organization and how you are set up with Omega-Phi. So I may be saying this to some people, and this might not be an option for you, but billing groups, if you've already set up your billing and you need to add a new billing group, I do recommend reaching out to your Omega-Phi support and letting them know that you need to add a billing group, and they can get it quickly added, and then we can copy in any charges that we need to for your cycle. But if it's prior to you setting up, it is actually a process of when you are setting up the billing. Again, if you are on this webinar and you're like, I don't have that button, it's more than likely you have specific standard setup with Omegafy. So you can do that here. It'll be in a section. I can't move any further than this, but it'll be an option for you to update. But if any issues should arise, always you can always email your Omegafy support team, and they can assist you by getting billing groups added.
Thank you. And like Carrie said, I know you said it in the beginning, but I'll just like double down on what you said. Sometimes that's not an option for your organization. So if your headquarters or international headquarters has those like preset for you guys, then you'll just have to fill in based on the ones that they've already given you. Another question we have is, let me scroll down. I lost my spot. How do they receive a check from a non-member? So like if an advisor or alumni gives them a check, I'm assuming if it's like maybe a donation or just like a check they need to deposit into their chapter's account, how would they go about that?
So if you've received, so it's kind of a two-way here. If you're a chapter that utilizes bill pay and you have one of those internal bill pay funds that you put all your money in, you can simply just mail us the check to the deposit address, and we can deposit it for you. But if you have an external bank account, you just simply take it to your local bank and deposit it that way. But I'm thinking that this question is based upon you have got a bill pay fund, so you would just mail it to us, and just make a note in the envelope somewhere, stick it on a sticky note and say please deposit into, just list your organization's name, designation, and the university. That way we can ensure that it's going to the correct place.
Thank you. And then she actually submitted one more, and I'm gonna make an assumption, but if I'm wrong on this, just enter in the chat. They were asking about permissions. In the previous officer with the current permissions has tried to give her access, but it hasn't worked. I'm assuming this is on bill pay. Carrie, do you mind showing them how they'll need to get full access to bill pay, that it's not just that one bill pay manage access, but also for the individual funds?
It's the permissions to the funds, yes. So in the bill pay menu, the person that does already have this, they should be able to see user access here. And this is where they will add funds. So like here, they already have the accounts, and you'll select add fund. So if there was a fund, we don't have anymore because they've already been added, they would simply select the fund that you need. And then these are the different permissions to each option that you have within that fund that they can customize, or they can grant all and then just hit submit.
Okay, let me go through this again. We have some more questions coming in. How can you change the, let me try to rephrase this. So they said, how do you change the budget and expense was put under? So if they need to like reassign or
Yeah.
I hope you can answer this better than me. I'm getting tongue tied. I'll let you take it.
So if you have, I'm assuming this is in regards to bill pay again. So if you're using our bill pay feature, and you've got some transactions coming in here, and you have coded it to one thing. I don't have, unfortunately, something to show you. It's going to be listed here under here that it's been processed. There will be like a little action icon. I can't remember if it's a magnifying glass or a pencil. There's going to be something that you can click on, and you can actually view the bill, and then you can edit the actual transaction, and you can update that expense account. But yeah, you should be able to see it's on the right hand side. It's either a magnifying glass or a pencil icon that if you click on it next to that transaction inside the register of where it was paid from, you can edit the expense account right there, and you'll just hit submit and it'll update for you.
Okay, thank you. You explained that much better than I was asking. Another question we have is the easiest way to see if a member has been reimbursed their security deposit or not. I would think that would be looking at the vendors, but Carrie, if you want to show them what you think would be the easiest way to go under that member and see if they've been reimbursed.
Seeing if somebody has been reimbursed, depending on where you're reimbursing them, if you're reimbursing them through Omegafy, you can go to that member's detail billing transaction to see if you submitted a reimbursement for them through Vault. And it would just be when you submit let me see, I'm gonna add. So we're going to pretend that we have a security deposit. You're using bill pay to reimburse that. You would add a reimbursement. This reimbursement here is connected to the member's account because you'll, I don't know why this isn't scrolling up. It should allow you to select the member that you need to reimburse, which connects to their member account. So there should be a transaction entry on their member account billing detail transaction page that shows that a security deposit has been reimbursed. This one also may be kind of pretty specific. So to the person that asked that question, I recommend reaching out to your Omegafy support. That way they can kind of dial into exactly who you're looking at and confirm that for you if you're not able to do so yourself.
And then do you mind showing as well, Carrie, if it was, I'm just going to add like a second question to this. If it was like a non-member where they could go to view, maybe like quickly find that either through a search or going to like the vendor, or not the vendors, like the different, yes, there, how they could search it that way too if it's like a non-member.
Yes, if you're paying somebody outside, you're reimbursing somebody, it's actually going to be added as a bill, but you could just go to their vendor detail page and see their register of what you've paid them out.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, let me go down. We have a lot of good questions coming in. Okay, we have a question here. It says, how do you zero out someone's account when there has been a billing error? So maybe they were in the wrong billing group or they accidentally got included in like a manually added charge. How they reverse that or zero it off their account?
Yep, so you can simply do the billing, add transactions en masse. And depending on how you've itemized those charges, I definitely recommend entering a credit for each itemization, especially if you're utilizing the budget tool and those expense and income accounts. You're going to want everything to match. But you can simply do add transactions en masse, and you can select as many times as you need, however many. So they've got 4 transactions that were billed incorrectly, and you need to credit them to get their balance back to 0. You'll just simply fill this out. And you'd code it to exactly what it was billed originally to. That way it does what we call a wash. And then whatever amounts the individual transactions were. And then you can zero that out, and then you can go back in and add the correct, you do the same, but then you'd add it as a charge to bill them again the correct amount.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. That was, again, a perfect answer. I'm happy you're taking control here. Okay, I have a longer question, so let me like read through it really fast. Okay, so this question says, how can you see receipts that the director of financial operations posts? So similar, some of you guys may have like a treasurer or similar position. How can they see receipts that they post on each of those different expenses?
This seems fairly specific. I'm not sure if they're referring to receipts on, like, if they're using an officer purchasing card. If that's the case, you would just go to the Office of Purchasing Cards register to see the receipts that are attached. There's also, if a receipt is not currently attached, it'll be located here in Review Card Transactions. That just means there's no there's outstanding card transactions that need to be updated with like with an expense account and receipts attached. This, again, whoever asked this, it may be easier to get a better, more accurate answer for you if you reach out to your Omega Phi support.
Yes, and she did say that too. She was like, if it needs to be separate, that's fine, but that's a good place to see receipts. Another thing she mentioned was that she's no longer able to view things under the accounting tab. And they're wondering how they get full access. So I know this is like a relatively newer permissions that we rolled. So I'm assuming the accounting details access is not managed, but maybe she has managed access to the accounting tab. Do you want to maybe just show them how they can update those different vault access settings?
So this would be the responsibility of somebody who still has that full access to update the person who lost that access. So it'd be at the discretion of, that officer or advisor, but you would just go to the gear icon vault users and then select the edit. And then this is where those two newer pages here, transaction details, you would grant, view, or manage, or no access and submit.
Perfect, thank you. And then let me scroll down. There's a question, they want to see, is there like an easy way for them to see their member payments coming in and exactly like which bill pay funds or bank accounts those are going to?
Right, payments coming in would be payments received report. And then if you want to see, so this would be where you can see who's made the payment. And then another place is the Omega Phi account last 30 days. So this is also, this is located under the accounting menu, and you're going to go to account registers. And you'll scroll down and you'll go to your Omega Phi account last 30 days and you're going to pull up your register. There's not going to be any information here as this is a test account, so we will see what we can do here. What will happen is it's going to show you a date that we received the payment, who made it. You can click in it and see who exactly made it, like a total, and then it's going to list where each amount, so like after vault fees are taken off, or if they paid with a debit or a credit card, it's going to show you the percentage amount total that was taken off of the payments received within that day. And then what is left over, it will show you that total amount and exactly where we deposited that money for you. So however you have your chapter's account is set up, whether we're putting that into an external account or going into a bill pay fund, this register will detail all of that for you.
Perfect. And then I'm answering currently like a national specific, so I don't read the entire question, but as I'm typing this out to them, do you mind showing where, if they have deposit splits set up on their account, where they could view what those deposit splits would be? I know the test account, I don't think really has any set up. I could be wrong, but just where they could find that.
It does not, but it's going to be in the same place as where we found the Omega Phi account. So it's under account register. So if your chapter and a deposit split, if you're not used to that term, it's essentially a way for us to split your money. The system automatically does it. So if you've got a savings account and you want certain money to go there, and then you have a main account, the system is designed to be able to split the money for you by using what we call deposit split. So if your chapter utilizes that feature, you can view them here. So it'll list what type of split you have, whether it's income account based, meaning if you code it to a certain income account, anything billed to chapter dues, we can put it in an external bank account or a bill pay fund for you, or if it's a percentage. So if you want 10% of every payment made going to a savings account, we can split it that way, and that's all going to be located here for you to view exactly what all is going on with the splits. And the splits do have their own register, so this will be a clickable register just like these up here for you to view.
Perfect. Thank you, Carrie. And then let me see. Figure out someone's account. Oh, we already got that one answered. Okay, I don't think we have too many new questions coming in, but I'll give it a second. Again, there's some in the chat right now that are just specific to them, so I'm answering. But if y'all
Okay.
have any other questions, you can still send those in. I know one, this hasn't been asked in the chat, but I've gotten this on a lot of other webinars, so maybe it's not asked because everybody's heard me go over it 100 times, but when we get a lot is there a way for them to see if their members have logged into their My Omegafy account or whatever the equivalent of their My Omegafy account is? If there's a way to track that as
Good
an
question.
admin?
So under the communications menu, My Omegafy logins. And of course, this isn't going to give us any statistics, but this should tell you if the member has access, yes or no, and if they've logged in. And I'm pretty sure it'll give you a date.
I think too, if you scroll down, I know with this one, on the test account only, it's so zoomed in. So you really have to scroll to get down to the different members and it'll show you a list of them. Or maybe it's just it may be giving you a hard time and not loading, but I do know sometimes it's difficult to scroll.
Yeah, but this little handy dandy question mark is going to let me know that yes, it'll show you users with access, without, and then if they've logged in during the past 60 days or not. So it's going to give you some pretty good information so you can see exactly who's received their login, set it up, and were they successful in getting in or not.
Thank you. And I think that is all of the questions. I am still, like I said, in the chat, so I wouldn't say like end it right this second. I'll finish answering these and then we'll also follow up with some of you via email. But I think, Carrie, if you want to maybe just go switch over so we can show them the contact information for now, we can do that while we wait for maybe any last second questions.
Yeah, so while Hannah's finishing up answering some of those specifics, here is our way to get in touch with us. After hours, if you need help, please utilize that Get Help, that knowledge base that I showed you with all those different tabs. It's got some great information. And again, if you're not seeing something, please email us and let us know, like, hey, I was looking for this. I didn't see something. I think this would be great, and we'll definitely look it over and get it added if it's something that we feel that it's definitely be used with other chapters. I will also say, as Hannah's still doing the specific questions in the chat field, the ones that were pre-submitted, if your question did not get read and answered, again, we will follow up directly with an email to better support and answer that question for you. So be on the lookout for that. And Hannah, are you good with that chat questions, or do you need a little bit more time?
I'm still answering just a couple more, but you can go ahead and just, I don't want to say dismiss everyone, but y'all are good to leave. And I'll finish answering these items in the chat. And then once those are good, we'll just go ahead and click end. And then you guys will be able to get a recording of this webinar.
Yep. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining. And you will get the recording, like Hannah said, after this has ended via email. So be on the lookout for that. And I hope everyone has a great evening.